good morning. Thanks for joining. Hi, good morning. How are you? Yay, thanks, Janetta. Appreciate it. I greatly appreciate it. So, good morning. Welcome to the replay viewers. Anyone who's going to watch, oh, excellent. Driving and listening is great. Just don't drive in Periscope. Hey, Angel, thanks for joining. I want to shout out to the replay viewers. Thank you so much for taking time to catch me on the replay. And even though you can't comment on the replay, you still can tap the screen to give hearts and swipe to share. So greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for inviting followers. Hi, Julie. Thanks for joining. So for those of you who don't know me or who are new to me, my name is Jen Zills, and I am a wife, a mom of 3, a certified health coach, and the founder of Kids Eat Vegetables. And I help busy moms on their journey to raising healthy kids. And I am passionate about helping moms transition from processed foods to more real foods. It is so important that we teach our children about real foods, real ingredients, and where food comes from. I actually wasn't planning to scope this morning, but as I got all the ingredients out, I thought, you know what, I want to share this. I want to share my recipe for muffins and how I make a simple item like a muffin even healthier and add ingredients to add a lot of extra nutrition. If you go to the grocery store and buy a pack of muffins, unfortunately, they are really horrible ingredients. Many of them are filled with trans fats, lots of sugar, and yeah, there we go, live on a farm, there you go. Someday, that's my dream. It'd be nice to have just a small little farm, some chickens, it would be great, so I'm jealous. But it's so important, and so many of our kids nowadays, they don't understand real food. They think these things that come in packages is food, and it's not. So, like I said, muffins are so horrible at the grocery store. Hi, Kaylee, thanks for joining. Filled with trans fats, filled with a lot of sugar, and that's just so not necessary. And you can make a healthy muffin at home, 15 minutes of time to put all the ingredients together, put them in the oven while you're doing laundry or making dinner, and it's so simple. So muffins are something that we make on a regular basis at our house. Usually we have a batch of muffins a week. And today I'm actually doubling the recipe because my daughter has to take snack into school this week. So we're gonna share our muffins with our friends. I'm not gonna go through the exact, hi Julia, thank you so much for joining. I'm so glad you're here, hi. I'm not gonna go through the exact recipe, I am gonna go through the ingredients. So if you want the recipe, you can check out my website, kidseatvegetables.com. And while you're there, take time to sign up for my newsletter. I have an ebook that you'll receive that has recipes and tips on how to get your kids to eat vegetables and recipes that are proven to be kid favorites. So, and you know, just continue to introduce vegetables to your children every day in different forms. That's really the best way to start getting them familiar with them and to start eating them. So, to get started, these muffins are blueberry muffins. Thank you so much for inviting your followers. So these are blueberry muffins. I am making them gluten-free. I'm using gluten-free flour today. You don't have to make them gluten-free. That's a personal preference. Our family is not exclusively gluten-free, but whenever possible, I do try to make many of our items gluten-free. So I'm just using a gluten-free flour, and that's 3 cups of gluten-free flour. Again, I'm doubling this recipe. A lot of times I make my own gluten-free flour, I make my own mix, but today I'm using this Namaste brand from Costco, gluten-free perfect flour blend, which works really well. You know, it's a little bit pricey, but a little bit more expensive than making the mix on my own, but definitely much more convenient. I'm gonna go through some of the dry ingredients first here. So the gluten-free flour is the first thing in my bowl. Some oats, which is a great source of fiber. And salt and baking soda, just kind of standard issue when you're baking, right? And then some of the things I add for some extra boost to the recipe are chia seeds and flax seeds. So these are both great sources of omega-3s, omega-3 fatty acids, which we really do need to get more of in our diets. A lot of times we get a lot of omega-6 fatty acids from the processed foods that we're eating, but it's good to get more omega-3 fatty acids, and these are great plant-based sources of omega-3 fatty acids. So again, I have chia seeds, and a little known fact, chia seeds are also a great source of calcium. A lot of people don't realize that. Everyone thinks calcium only comes from, you know, cows and milk, and that's not true. There's a lot of great sources of calcium out there. And then the ground flax seeds, and I like to use, this is just preference, you can use regular ground flax seeds, sorry for the glare, but yeah, good, yeah, love chia seeds. We just put them in water even and drink them. Okay, the sprouted flax seeds, they're a little bit easier to digest, so your body's able to digest them easier, and you're just gonna absorb the nutrients a little bit better. So if you can get sprouted, yes, absolutely, so let me go to that. So again, like I said, I use the gluten-free flour, but another option is to use whole wheat flour, or you can use regular white flour. If I'm gonna use the white flour, I use a combination, so I'll do half of the recipe, half with whole wheat flour and half with white flour. So they get a nice rise, and that's absolutely not a problem. If your family does eat gluten and eat wheat with no problems, that's great. And like I said, we're not exclusively gluten-free, just something we try to do every once in a while to reduce the number of kind of processed wheat that we're eating. Okay, so where was I? Dry ingredients. The other thing I add in is a little bit of walnuts. I know none of the children in my daughter's class have nut allergies, so we're gonna add in a little bit of walnuts, which again, another great source of omega-3s, and there. And then I want to talk about the sugar. So a lot of times when you are researching recipes for muffins, most standard issue on a muffin recipe is about 3/4 to 1 cup of white sugar. And if you have a recipe that you really like for muffins and you want to immediately make it healthier, first thing I recommend to do is cut the sugar in half. Yes, so much sugar. I know. I mean, that's not really necessary for the rise and for the ingredients and for them to turn out well, right? So what I do is I cut the amount of sugar in half immediately on all recipes, and what I like to use is coconut palm sugar. And this is a really great substitute to white sugar. It's less processed, and it has a richer flavor, okay? So you can use less of it. Immediately you can reduce the amount of sugar in your recipe because you're using less. So organic coconut palm sugar, yeah, and so I just use a half a cup of that instead of a whole cup. And it's easy and it's simple, and it is a little bit more, hi, thanks for joining, Maggie. It's a little more expensive than, your standard white processed sugar, but you're using less of it. So, I think it's economical. I think it's, no, there is no coconut taste. I am not a big fan of coconut, so I am very sensitive to the coconut taste. And no, you cannot taste coconut at all with this. And I use it in everything. If I'm making chocolate chip cookies, if I'm making muffins, if you're doing maybe a pie, something where the dough and the consistency matters a little bit more, you might want to play around with that and test that. But for cookies and muffins, this is what I go to. And like I said, I just cut the amount of sugar in any recipe I'm looking at. I cut it in half. The other thing I do to, hi, thanks for joining. The other thing I do when I reduce the sugar is I will add cinnamon and, oh, gotta go. Okay, have a good one. Thank you. So I add cinnamon and I increase the amount of vanilla. So a lot of times your muffin recipes will call for a teaspoon of vanilla. I will increase that. Sometimes I'll double it, even triple it, because it takes the place. It adds a little bit of the sweetness back in when you're reducing the sugar. So let's say about a teaspoon of the cinnamon, and like I said, I'll do 2 to 3 teaspoons of vanilla. Yeah, it adds a nice rich flavor, and it helps to give it an extra flavor when you're taking away the sugar. It depends, if you're just starting on your journey. Yes, absolutely. Applesauce is another great. Now, applesauce is what I use to substitute for the oil. So again, a lot of your standard muffin recipes are going to call for a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of some type of oil. Many times it'll say vegetable oil. I swap that out immediately. In this recipe, I'm going to be using coconut oil, but applesauce works well too. Yes, absolutely. So again, if you get a recipe that you really like and you want to start making it a little bit healthier, start with reducing the sugar and change out the oil to a healthier option. Again, a coconut oil, or use applesauce. Applesauce is a great substitute for the oil. So excellent. Okay, so there's my dry ingredients all mixed together. So that, very simple, right? If I wasn't sitting here chatting, I'd already be done with this. Okay, And then for the wet ingredients, again, remember I'm doubling the recipe. I have buttermilk. Now, I never have buttermilk in my house, right? Who has buttermilk, right? We go to make a recipe, you're like, oh, buttermilk. Okay, so what I do instead is I just use regular milk, whole milk, and then I add some lemon juice into it. So about a tablespoon of lemon juice for every cup of milk that you need to have buttermilk. So if the recipe calls for buttermilk, just again, same equivalent ratio. Instead of 1 cup of buttermilk, you're gonna use 1 cup of whole milk, and then add in some lemon juice, and that will be a good substitute for buttermilk. So that's easy. And like I said, then I'm gonna add in my vanilla as my wet ingredient, and I just pour it in. I know I should measure it, but it's so good. And you know, so 2 to 3 teaspoons of the vanilla, and I'm adding in eggs. So this is 2 eggs. There we go, and that is it. So mix that up, put that in muffin cups, and there you go. It's easy. The last ingredient I need to add, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, I have 2 ingredients. I'm not paying attention. So a little bit, adding just a little bit extra flavor and fruit. I have 2 mashed bananas, which really help pull it all together with the consistency. So 2 mashed bananas, and then finally my blueberries. And these look awesome, don't they? So good. Blueberries are like the perfect fruit, right? Low in sugar, high in antioxidants, so delicious. Although I will tell you, I have one kid who doesn't really like blueberries, but I always want her to eat them. So I'm always sneaking them into smoothies and into muffins, because she'll eat them then if they're in smoothie and muffins. I'm surprised she didn't chime in, because I know she can hear me right now. I don't do that. I've actually heard of that before. I don't do that just from a time sake perspective, Angel, but you absolutely can, right? So do you want to comment a little bit about that? I think it helps to like separate them out, right? So they kind of distribute out into the flour a little bit better. Am I right? I definitely have heard that before. Your kids won't drink smoothies. We got to work on that. We got to work on that. Okay, I'm going to do a smoothie scope. You have to join. With them not to sink. That's what I thought, right? So help to better distribute them throughout the muffin. I probably should do that, Angel, but you know what? We're just trying to get it done. So yeah, so does anyone have any other questions? Yes, Juliet. Okay, we're gonna get on that because, oh, the smoothies. The smoothies are so good. I mean, honestly, like tomorrow morning for breakfast, we're gonna have these blueberry muffins, we're gonna have some hard-boiled eggs, and I'll probably make a smoothie. And that's breakfast because they'll have everything they need. They'll have some healthy fats here in the muffins and with the walnuts and the coconut oil, and so healthy fats to get their day started. They'll have their protein with their eggs, and then we'll get them some fruits and vegetables in their smoothie. And that's a great start to the morning. They won't really, they're gonna go to, yes, okay, I have a ton of smoothie recipes, and if you go to my website and you sign up for my newsletter, the ebook that you get has 1 smoothie recipe in it, but I will scope a smoothie recipe later this week, and definitely, because they're so simple, and you start with what they like, right, and then you can kind of change it up a bit, and you can sneak things in it, and they never know, right, so I add healthy fats. Sounds like a great breakfast. Oh, no, they will. It just, you know what? It just takes time to change. If they're used to cereal, I know so many kids, that's their breakfast, and that's totally fine. But just a little bit of transition, a little bit at a time. Yes, the hard-boiled eggs. And believe me, I have some kids who balk at the hard-boiled eggs some mornings too, and I'm like, hey, this is breakfast. Thank you for joining us today in our family. This is what we're eating. But I mix it up. So scrambled eggs, fried eggs. My 10-year-old, almost 11-year-old, loves to make eggs in the morning for the family. So a lot of times he wants to get up and make his scrambled eggs. Yeah, we're great. Well, you can, and there's a lot you can do with scrambled eggs. We put in, sometimes we'll put in some turkey. Sometimes we'll put in, mushrooms are great. Sometimes we'll put in some spinach, right? So there's a lot of things you can do. Red peppers, ooh, peppers are so good for us, so healthy, and great option to start the day off with some healthy ingredients. So yeah, play around with the eggs. Hi Liz, thanks for joining. Thanks so much for joining. So we were talking about blueberry muffins. I've actually put together all the ingredients, but I'll share some of the important tips with those of you who just joined. Thank you so much. Hey, No problem, Liz. But I will, the most important thing I talked about with muffins is reducing the sugar. And so any recipe you have for, hi, thanks for joining. Any recipe you have for muffins, you can easily make healthier by taking the sugar, whatever it calls for. Usually it calls for about a cup. Cut it in half. So to go down to a half a cup and instead use a coconut palm sugar. This has a lower glycemic index, is less processed, and has a richer flavor, so you can use less. So you can immediately take open up your cookbook at home, pull out a muffin recipe, cut the sugar, and you're automatically on your way to healthier. I also, when I cut the sugar, I add extra cinnamon and extra vanilla to kind of beef up, make the taste a little more rich, and the kids will never notice that there's less sugar. The other thing we talked about was the reason, good, great, Liz, yay, I love it. The reason to make muffins at home, you can make them in 15 minutes when you're not chatting on Scope, and they are so much healthier than the muffins in the store. The muffins in the store are toxic. They are filled with trans fats. They are filled with sugar. Don't buy baked goods at the store. Just make them at home. It's so much better for you. And, your kids will adjust over time. I mean, if they're used to having sugary cereals, sugary muffins from the store, don't expect them to change overnight. Be patient with them, Mom. Take your time. Maybe you're transitioning from buying muffins at the store. Yeah, I know. Good job, Liz. And I know it takes extra time, but thank you. I'm standing in the clean part. Do you like that? I won't show you the rest. Okay, so, but what was I saying? So, be patient with your kids. Take time. If you are buying store-bought items, maybe just start making a couple things at home. Don't change the recipes. Just make the recipes, put the whole cup of sugar in. At least it's better because you're making it home. It's going to have better ingredients. You're going to know the ingredients. You're going to avoid trans fats. So start with just baking at home, and then you can start making the small changes like swapping out the sugar, adding it, no preservatives, no artificial colors, the list goes on, right? So you know the ingredients. But be patient with your kids. It's hard. Sugar it's everywhere. It's in everything. I did a Scope yesterday on hummus. It's in hummus. It's in ketchup. It's in spaghetti sauce. It's everywhere. So be patient because we do have some little ones with some sugar addictions. Exactly. I hate to say it, but it's true. So be patient with them. Don't expect change overnight. It's a journey for all of us. I'm sure if we ask Liz, and I know for our family, this didn't happen overnight, that we were all of a sudden, hey, we're going to eat healthy and we're going to eat lots of vegetables. That is not an overnight transition. It's been a long journey for us. So be patient with your kids and with your hubby, because sometimes the hubbies are the more difficult ones. Not my hubby, I'm not saying that, honey, if you're watching, but so anyways, all right, ladies, well, like I said, Jen Sills is my name if you don't know me. I'm a certified health coach, and yeah, excellent, they are, I know, I'm telling you. Here's my suggestion on that. Don't tell your husband you're making something healthy. Just make it, okay? Don't make it. Don't put any labels on it. Don't put any expectations on it. Just make it, okay? Because the minute you start, he thinks you're making something that's changing. He's like, oh, no. Anyways, you can follow me on Facebook at Kids Eat Vegetables. You can check out my website, kidseatvegetables.com, where you can find this recipe and many more. And if you thought this scope was useful, please share it out to your friends and followers. If you know moms who are on that journey and they're really trying to transition from processed foods to real foods, please connect them with me and share this scope. Thanks so much, Liz, for inviting followers. And be sure to sign up for my newsletter. I have some great things coming in the coming weeks. We're going to do a 5-day challenge with a 5-day challenge just to get more vegetables in our kids. We're going to talk about smoothies during that. So a lot of great things coming up. So please be sure to follow me here on Periscope, follow me on Facebook, and sign up for my newsletter. And hi, Whitney. We were just getting ready to wrap it up. So hope you'll enjoy the replay. And I'll talk to you guys soon. I'm going to be back around lunchtime to make a dressing out of hummus, the hummus that I made on yesterday's scope, which I think is still up if you want to catch that. So join me later.